Hi, I'm Erica, and I hope your week is off to a fantastic start. I'm thrilled that you're here, and if you're new to the Tea Minds, then welcome. This is a lovely, warm, cosy space where we pause for tea so that we can reconnect with ourselves, rebalance our mind, body, and spirit, and learn how to savour those precious moments before they slip away. In each episode, we explore how something as simple as a cup of tea can be a gateway to mindfulness, mental fitness, and learning to be more present in the way that we live. With inspiring tea routines, thought-provoking insights, and heartfelt conversations with amazing guests, this is your time to pause, rebalance, and thrive. Life is fast, but your tea doesn't have to be. So pop the kettle on, grab your favourite mug, and let's dive into the art of living with a tea mind. Hello and welcome to today's episode. Today we're diving deep into a concept that can transform the way that you approach not just your tea, but your entire life. And it's called Shojin, or the beginner's mind. Perhaps you've heard of it. It's a Zen Buddhist concept that means approaching life with curiosity, openness, and wonder, free from any preconceptions. And the Zen Buddhist monk who introduced Shojin to the West put it beautifully like this. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's, there are few. So, what if your daily tea routine could be a gateway to rediscovering this sense of openness? So, let's just take a little moment to reflect now on when was the last time that you truly experienced something as if it was the first time. Maybe the first time that you saw the ocean, or the first sip of a special single estate tea, or the way that a child watches the rain completely mesmerized by it. That's the beginner's mind. It's being present without making any assumptions. There's no need to be right, no pressure to be perfect, just a willingness to explore, question, and to see things new. Now, contrast that with how we often move through life, rushing about, we're assuming things, thinking we already know what's coming next. We often filter the present moment through a lens of familiarity, and in doing so, we might miss its magic. An example from my own life, just last year, I found that we were rushing about as a family on the hamster wheel, doing the same thing day in, day out, driving long distances to kids' activities, sitting in the car because it was too far to go home again. We were just sort of rushing, doing the same thing day in, day out. But then we had a little pause and a little moment of clarity, and we saw a new town with completely fresh eyes. And it's somewhere that we'd been to many times before. But just this time, in this pause, it was different. We were seeing it anew, and we were open to possibilities, and suddenly open to a completely new way of living. And if it wasn't for that pause, we might still be on that treadmill, just running to keep up. As it happens, we were open to exploring possibilities. We accepted we didn't know things. We trusted our intuition and our gut, and we made that move. And our life is 100% better now. We have a higher standard of living. We're outdoors much more so that our kids can travel to activities themselves quite often, meaning we've got a lot more of our time back to do things which really light us up and get us outside and get us connecting with each other and with other people a lot more. So that's just one example from my own life. Perhaps think of something from yours. And the good news is that you can practice this beginner's mind anytime that you choose, and tea is the perfect vehicle for doing so. And why does this matter? Well, imagine if you could notice opportunities that you've been too busy to see, or let go of the need to have to control everything. And imagine being able to approach life with more joy and more curiosity. Where could that take you? And we live in a world that values expertise, efficiencies, and answers. We're often expected to know, to be able to plan ahead, to be able to predict what's coming next. But this beginner's mind really reminds us that sometimes the not knowing is the most powerful state that we can be in. If we think about some of the greatest breakthroughs in history, They didn't happen because someone was already knew the answer. They happened because someone asked, what if? And it's this different way of thinking about things and different angles. And the same applies to your own personal growth. What if you approach challenges not as problems to be solved, but as experiences to explore? What if you let go of rigid expectations and instead allowed life to surprise you? And what if, just for a moment, you stopped rushing to do the next thing and instead simply noticed what's right in front of you? And that's what we're going to practice today through tea. So right now, I invite you to make a cup of tea with me, or you can follow along and do it later as well. But not just any cup of tea. This is going to be a practice in seeing, feeling, and experiencing it as if for the very first time. So wherever you are, whether you've got tea with you now or you're going to try this later, let's begin. And step one is brewing your tea with fresh eyes. So I want you just to start by picking up your tea leaves or your tea bag and holding it in your hand and just looking at it as if you've never seen them before. Noticing the texture, the scent, the way it feels between your fingers. And just notice what you observe. I'm brewing some silver needle white tea today, and this is a really good one for doing some simple brews with, and it's very tactile. It's got lovely little downy silvery hairs on it because they're plucked once a year before the tea bushes open. And the aroma is very delicate, so it does encourage you to slow down and notice. So just take a moment in that pause and breathe and stay curious. And then as you put your tea leaves or your tea bag into your mug or your bowl and get ready to pour your hot water over your tea, just watch. And watch as the steam rises, using all your senses. Just notice how the leaves expand, how the colours swirl around, and how the steam rises. And just be fully present, no multitasking, just this moment. And become aware of what you notice. What does it remind you of? And how often do you take time to just simply observe? And whenever your tea is ready, just go ahead and take a little sip. Not out of habit, not while checking emails. Just sip your tea and be. It might help to gently lower your gaze or close your eyes, feeling the warmth of the tea in your cup, tasting every note. And as you take your time to sip your tea today, just notice the changes as it starts to cool. And as you rebrew your tea, just be curious as to what changes arise in the second and third steeps. And get curious as to what's coming up in your own mind. How does your mind feel in this moment? What about your thoughts, memories, any moment of clarity coming to mind? Stay curious. And this is the beginner's mind, with no expectations, no agenda, just an openness to what is. So you don't need a retreat or a meditation cushion to practice mindfulness. You simply need to pay attention to what's already there. And this little tea routine is just simply the beginning. There's 3 simple ways to carry this mindset into your day. The first one is starting your day with, I don't know. Instead of assuming how your day will go, say, I don't know what will happen today, but I'm open to it. Number 2 is pausing before reacting. So before responding to an email or before making a decision or jumping to a conclusion, just pause for a moment and ask yourself, what else could this mean? What don't I know yet? And then thirdly, do one thing as if it's your first time. Might be listening to a song or taking a walk or brewing a new tea, meeting a friend. Just look at it as a complete beginner and notice what details you notice. And the more we practice this beginner's mind, the more our life starts to open up to us. We find new ways of doing things, new ideas, new ways to solve problems, all sorts of things open up. In my business in etiquette, we recently had this happen to us with our tea bags. So we work with lots of hospitality businesses, and for 16 years we've been selling our tea bags in bags of 100. But suddenly we were open to new possibilities and realised that if we bagged them into bags of 200, we would be able to reduce the price on a tea bag, have more efficiencies, and it's better for the environment as well. So just having that new thinking led us on a whole other path of what else were we not seeing, what else were we thinking of with assumptions and preconceptions. So yeah, it's really good to do that, whether it's in your personal life or your work life. Just question things and start to see it from new perspectives, new angles. So as we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with this thought. Every single moment, every sip of tea, every connection, and every sunrise has the potential to feel brand new. It's simply about whether you let it or not. So today, try just pausing, observing, and being curious, and see where it takes you. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your tea and the rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next episode. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and I encourage you to consider one idea that you could take forward into your own life today. If you found this useful, please share so that we can bring more people along on this Tea Mind journey with us. And just a little disclaimer to note that the content shared on the Tea Mind podcast and web pages are for informational and inspirational purposes only, and are not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis or treatment. Always seek the advice of your doctor or qualified healthcare professional with any questions that you may have regarding your health or a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking it because of something you've heard on this podcast. The host and contributors of the Tea Mind podcast disclaim any liability for decisions made based on the information provided. Always consult a professional for your individual needs.